Hello guys and welcome back. Today we're hopping into a Gruul list, a Gruul aggro list. Kind of like a mono red list, only we're splashing green in to do some pretty cool things. So we're running a couple new War of the Sparks cards. The new additions that we're running is Chandra Fire Artisan, which I think is pretty underrated. Because at bare minimum, you're playing it as 4 for 4 damage to their face or to a creature. And most likely it's going to draw you a card. So it's a pretty good card. Then we've got Domri, Anarch of Bolas, another pretty good card. The +1/+0 for 3 is not bad with the creatures that we run. And on top of that, you're really only paying 2 for this because you're immediately adding 1 back to play something. And it gives you a light form of removal as well. So those are the additions from War of the Spark. Other than that, it's pretty standard. There's not a whole lot that was going to be too great to add to a Gruul aggro list that I've seen. But this works out pretty well. It's pretty on par with a standard mono red deck as far as its efficiency. The only difference being that this list offers you a tiny bit more staying power than a standard mono red list. So you have like a tiny bit more late game than a mono red list does. Not a whole lot, maybe like 1 or 2 turns more lasting power, but it is that little bit of extra oomph. So it's 4 Fanatical Firebrands, 4 Shocks, 4 Viashino Pyromancers, 4 Zhur-Taa Goblins, 4 Lightning Strikes, 4 Gruul Spellbreakers, 3 Light Up the Stages, 2 Risk Factors, 3 Skewer the Critics, 3 of the Domris, 2 Collision Colossuses, which is a very strong card. I can't stress this enough. Most of the time you're using it for the Colossus to give a creature +4/+2 and trample, but the collision ability is so helpful for dealing with, Resplendent Angels, for dealing with Lyra, etc., etc., etc. There's just a lot of good targets, and a 2 cost removal to get rid of something like that in this deck can be the difference between winning and losing on turn 5 or turn 4. So it's very good. Then we run 2 of the old Domris, again, another ramp card, and a splash of lands to make this work. Without further ado, I'm going to get into the games, let you see some for yourself. I hope you enjoy. Peter, nice and simple name. Not a bad starting hand. Fanatical Firebrand up first. We have a Lightning Strike on 2 to respond. For those of you new to the channel, as I always say, the reason the videos are on 2x speed is because I respect your time. I'm not fishing for YouTube view time. I do this so that you can get through the matches as quickly as possible and get on to playing your games. So we get to see the new addition, our Domri, Anarch of Bolas. We'll use that to kill his Siege Horn to try to stop whatever shenanigans he was trying to pull with his Enrage. We'll drop him, give him haste. He is a 4/3 because of our Planeswalker. We'll allow him the opportunity to block, so we do not have to waste a Lightning Strike if we don't want to. So now we will. Locket and Allegion's Landing. He's playing a very interesting mix of cards here. You feel comfortable getting rid of the Colossus for some extra damage at this point, in case he has some removal for our Gruul Spellbreaker. And we draw another Domri. So, not exactly the most efficient draws we could have had during this part of the game. But nonetheless, he will play a 2/2, we will minus our Domri to kill it, and attack face and win the game. Fanatical Firebrand, Viashino, Gruul Spellbreaker. Curve is pretty good right now. So like you can kind of see this deck kind of plays out similar to a mono red list, just with the additions of a little bit better mid-range, which gives it a little bit more lasting power. We play the Viashino, we understand he's going to sack his Firebrand to kill it, that is okay. We still come out on the value trade because we got 2 damage out of our card and he got 0 out of his. So let's go ahead and sacrifice our Firebrand before he can pull off any of his mayhem shenanigans. We choose to drop the +1/+1 counter so that we have a blocker open for his creature. Again, another strange list. I don't know why we're seeing a treasure map combined with the other cards we've seen this match so far. We feel comfortable playing that because we have 2 shocks in hand. So we're going to bait in his Rekindling Phoenix here to get rid of it permanently. It was a hard decision deciding whether we wanted to keep the 2 shocks for next turn to burn his face or kill his creatures. But we weren't 100% sure what this guy had going on, so... Probably going to play through 4 matches this time, just as these are a little quicker than normal. At least until we lose one. I kind of scoured up and down the cards to see what could be added to a Gruul aggro list. There's plenty of cards for non-aggro lists that there's some pretty cool stuff that you can do, which I'll probably hop into later on down the line. But for now, I want to get the basics down and just see, you know, if aggro improved at all. And the Planeswalker is a pretty good addition. So it looks like we are up against either a Gates deck or a Reclamation deck. Wilderness Reclamation. We don't know which one yet. I'm assuming it's Wilderness Reclamation. At this point, when I see him drop the red and green land, our opponent doing a whole lot of nothing, so we know that we just need to push damage to face as quickly as possible here, now that we kind of see what kind of plan he's on. It's unfortunate we did not have a land to play our Chandra that turn. Now we know he's running counter spells. Opponent passes turn, we know he has counter spells up, so we will not play our Chandra. There's no other reason he would have passed without playing anything, so we're going to go with the Zhurs instead, try to bait out some of his counter spells with them. There's one. And he doesn't have the other one, so we will get an extra 2 damage through this turn. And there you have it. So, pretty much just as quick as a mono red list. This next match coming up is going to be actually against mono red, and this is the match that I think is probably the most important to watch if you've made it to this point in the video, which by the way, if you have, I appreciate that. The majority of people look at the deck list and then leave, which is fine. That's what they want to do. So, here we're going to see kind of how we match up tempo-wise to a mono-red list, which is very good because it kind of gives you an idea that this deck is pretty strong, or at least on par. Our opponent is aggressively going face with everything that he plays. So we're even, third turn, we're even life total with mono red. Good opportunity to get a Chandra down.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn it.
Our opponent ahead by 1 life at this point. So unfortunately, the Collision Colossus off that draw was one of the deciding factors in this match. It was just unlucky that we drew that without a creature on the board. Him playing a Flame to Kill, we know we've got to burn everything to face and hopefully draw into some form of damage. We draw into a Zhur-Taa Goblin, which will put him at 3, and we're on a hope and a prayer right now. Unfortunately, he draws into 2 burn spells with his Flame of the Killed, and that will be game. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, enjoy life.